Welcome to my channel, The Mystical Hummingbird. Oh, where's my little thing? Hold on a minute. I almost forgot this again. What a week, you guys. How are you all? I hope you're having a good day today and enjoying the beginning of spring. Not quite there, but we're getting there. This has truly been, I want to say, just something threw me off. I'll just tell you. I was planning to come on Saturday, but I was not able to. And I thought yesterday I can to come in, but it was not possible either. On Thursday, the 13th, I was running some errands with my little patient, and when I was going to merge into the freeway, I want to say probably about a half a block before I merged, my car started to move like violently, and I thought, what is that? I had never detected anything like that, and it was like a weird sensation because it was coming like from the left side. I thought, oh, what is that? And then all of a sudden it stopped, and I thought, oh no, it feels like I got a flat. So as soon as that happened, I said, Father, help me. I was actually talking to Father because I talk with him like most of the time when I'm in the car. And so I said that, and I heard a horn, beeping horn, beep, beep, beep. And then I opened the door, and then a man came running towards me. And he says, honey, stay out of the road, stay out of the road. Well, I was really close to traffic, was driving right through like this. And then he says, move to the side, I'll take care of this. And I had my emergency lights on, and this man, he was missing a leg. And he said, you got a flat, hon. I noticed your car shaking. As he was right behind me. And so I said, I don't even know if I have a spare. I guess I do, because I've never had a flat. I know how to change the tire, but I haven't done this in years. So this man, he says, no worries, I got you. You just go and sit down with your little gal, and I'll take care of it. So I opened up the trunk, I got the stuff, and he was so kind. He changed the tire for me. Well, it ended up that the tire was really old, and I felt I better go get a new tire. So he told me, if you turn here, you pass the light, there's a big old tires on that side. Anyway, I did that, and he helped me I made a U-E, and then I went up there. So it happens that they didn't have the tires that went on my car, the precise ones that I needed, and they would have to, it would take a day or two, and I didn't want to drive with the spare all the way it would be about half an hour, 45 minutes. I didn't want to do that. So I ended up, the other tires were kind of low, so I decided I'll just get 4 new brand new tires. Anyway, $900 later, after everything was said and done, I left. That was on Wednesday. Then the following day, I needed to run other errands, and I was going from one city to another city. I merged into the place where I was supposed to be going, and as I merged. Usually you're driving around 70, and I slowed down all the way down to, because where I was, the trajectory, the way it is, you get off the freeway, and then you go into the like a passage, and then you slow down, and then you continue on a little freeway until you get to the other part where you're supposed to go into the city where I was going to. And there was a viaduct down at the bottom, and there was a light And there were probably several cars before me. So I stopped and I think I was going about 20, 22, a little over 20, really slow because the light was coming on and there were the cars before me. I didn't even know what hit me. I got rear-ended with full force with my patient in the back. I've never been in an accident, mind you. Um, it took me, I mean, it was so shocking. Um, I've taken defensive driving. I know how to drive really well, and I know how to conduct myself in situations like this in case of an emergency. And I started to do breathing deep. As I did that, I looked back to my patient, and it was the weirdest thing because I started to shake. My hands were shaking, so I couldn't open the door because I was so like out of my, I was not quite there. And so I continued breathing, and I finally, with this hand, I took and held my hand to turn and open the door. And I ran outside, and I went to, she's on the back, on the right hand side, on the back. I went to her door, and the door was jammed, and the whole back is destroyed completely. She had glass all over her head. She had bits of glasses in her eyelashes, and her hoodie from her jacket. Her whole body was covered with glass. And then it was too much. It was like I could not. It was such a shock to see her like that. She didn't have any cuts of any kind, not one single cut. But I noticed a big piece, like a letter C. That was something unknown to me. I'd never seen it before. That I must have jumped from the outside from the other person's car, and it was black. That car was black, the one that hit me. It was a young woman. Her brakes they gave out, and then she could not stop when she was driving down from the emerging from the freeway. So as soon as I came out of the car and I was running towards my patient, 4 women came running towards me, and some of them were nursing students, and they were working with the people with disabilities. Well, I removed as much as the glasses I could remove with a plastic bag I put on my hand, and then we grabbed my little girl and took her out between the 3 of us, and then we took the jacket and we cleaned her up and made sure she didn't have any glass and that she didn't have any cuts. They called the paramedics, 911, and I was still shaking. My little patient, the young woman offered, one of them offered open up her car, and she had the heater on. It was very cold and windy, very very windy. So we put her in the car, and then I made sure she was okay, and I gave her a drink. And it was a little past 1 in the afternoon. When that happened, and we heard the ambulance coming, the paramedics checked her, both her and I didn't have any cuts. I just had a little bit of, and I'm still a little achy on my neck, and my lower back is kind of sore. And I can imagine how she must feel because she got the whole impact right in the back, and it's actually the new tire is completely shredded. It's destroyed. The whole back is gone. The mirror is gone. The glass is gone. So it took a long time. It seemed like we were there forever. But these women, they were amazing. And then I hit someone in front of me. I didn't even know. I hit this lady, but it was minor in the back. So, but still, she came. She never left me. She stayed with me. She was from Texas, and her husband, he was in the Air Force. And she made sure that Cielo and I were okay. And then they helped me get her wheelchair out of the car and the things I needed to take out of the car. And then it seemed like hours to me, but I was so distraught and physically. I was trying to maintain my cool and thinking, oh my God, I just got, when we were in an accident and nothing happened to us. The girl that hit us, she got a concussion and her brain was swollen. Uh, and they took her, the paramedics took her, and she took my phone number, she was really concerned for us. She felt so bad that her uh, the brakes, they stopped working. And it was something that was kind of surreal to me, because like I've never experienced such chaos. And I was thinking about the chaos in our lives, and this moment is a chaotic moment, but my life was preserved. God preserved my life and my little girl. He preserved her, and we did not have one. I have a bruise in my arm right here. I didn't want to wear short sleeves today, but I have a little bruise, and I'm not sure how I got that. She doesn't have not even a bruise, not cut or anything. But this piece of metal that was like a letter C, very pointy on the one side, it was like a piece of metal. I don't know. It came from her car, and the police officer said, "Where did this come from?" I said, "It must have been from the other car." And he says, "I'm so happy that it didn't, hurt neither one of you, because it flew in right through into the car. It could have gone into our cranium. It could have slashed me on the face or cut her on the face. It would have cut us. But it was just laying in right between the chairs, so it nothing." So I kept on. I was so grateful. I'm so grateful, and I started to think. What I asked God, what is the meaning of all of this? And then in my mind, I hear, "I'm always with you," and I know He is. I know He is. I have known this since I was a little girl. God has always been with me, and my best friend, the Christ, is always with me. I cannot explain it in words how I felt, but those people that were with us, with me, supporting us, with us, they didn't have to leave. We were there for about 2 hours, because I couldn't fill out the form. My hand, I could not call my hand. So the police officer filled out the form for me. And uh, when everything was said and done, we had to meet somewhere, because they needed to remove our cars, because we were right in the middle of the freeway. Our cars were removed, and so a complete stranger took my little gal with her in her car. I was right behind them in the other car with the wheelchair, and it was the lady that I had hit. So we went to this place, and we waited there, so they were going to give us our paperwork. And then I called my little gal's her father, and he came to pick us up. Okay, so this happened on Thursday. Um, I've been calling the insurance companies and getting all that sorted, and they still haven't gotten back with me. I'm still without a car right now. I needed to Uber myself a couple of places, because I have things to do, things that have to be done, and I'm still without the car, and I'm trying to figure out and leaving messages here, the insurance adjuster, this and that. Anyway, on Saturday, actually, no, it was actually Sunday, it was yesterday. I was doing the dishes, and out of the blue, something hit me. Like I got this melancholy, this feeling of like my emotions. They were so raw. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything particular. I wasn't thinking of anything sad. I wasn't. It just came over me, and something overcame over me, and the tears came, and then I just cried. And then I composed myself. I went and sat down, and I just allowed the tears to come, because I guess I had it suppressed, all the emotion of what had happened. And I cried because I am grateful to be alive. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of you have been in an accident, and the way that the shock of being hit. Although I didn't have any cuts, I wasn't hurt, physically. It shook me. It shook my soul, and then my little patient, she's playing. So the thought came to my mind, I'm always with you. And then I started to think, so what do you want me to talk about this coming week? someone left a comment before I say anything. Someone left a comment, and I want to return, and I want to let them know how I'm grateful. Thank you for that comment that you left about Christ. I never would never diminish his role or what he means to the world. Um, in fact, he is one of my favorite people, and he's been my friend since I was a little girl. And many times people talk about it and they say things that are kind of disrespectful, and I'll say, hey, don't you go dishing on my baby Jesus. That's my homeboy. He, um, yes, being the Son of God, yes, he did. I agree with pretty much all the things that were said to me, um, and this comment that was left to me in the video. Um, but I want, this is personally, I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anybody else. For me, what Christ has done, the atonement and everything else he did for humanity, it's, you can applaud, it's something beautiful. And I'm not comparing him to no one else. But Christ, he sat down with prostitutes, with people from the street, and he didn't look at anybody bigger or higher than him or anything. When I put him in there, I wasn't comparing him like with others, but because of the beautiful enlightened minds of these people, of the Buddha, because the Buddha taught love and forgiveness and all those things, and all the other beautiful people that have in the past achieved and taught love, pretty much, so I was concentrating into the Christ consciousness. I wasn't speaking about what he did, although maybe I needed to have done that, but I was in another space in my mind. But I respect him and I love him, and he is, for me, a being that is unlike any other being that's ever been or will ever be. But I do say one thing though, for me, Christ provided this, he did this atonement, and he resurrected and he taught all these things, right? Okay, but he opened the door for us to enter into the kingdom of God if we want to, whatever you consider that to be. But we're responsible. You are, I am responsible. We're not, Christ just did that and then we're okay, we're good to go. We can do whatever, we can do this, and then we're saved. It doesn't work like that. And that's what I mean. Because we need to be responsible. Like there's a saying, oh, the devil made me do it. Hello? No. If you did something, then you need to become accountable. I am accountable for the things that I do. I apologize if I need to apologize. I will be the first one to apologize if I offended anyone. And I try to treat other people the way I want to be treated. And the Lord, because he is my Lord and my best friend, and I have a very personal relationship with him, and I don't really like to speak about that too much, but I have seen him. He has shown himself to me throughout my life, and I am grateful for that knowledge, and I'm grateful for what he has done, and I hope and pray that I can emulate maybe a little bit of what he is, or what he, as his persona, what he has left here. I believe myself that Christ never left, but that's just my own personal understanding of this. But back to this about I am always with you. I started to think back of all the times that God has saved my life, and it's been many. When I was a little girl, I was about 4 years of age, 4 or 5. I remember vividly. My mother had made me a new dress. It was yellow. It was with little squares, and she had embroidered at the bottom of the dress little fishes, because she knows that I love the ocean, and she embroidered these little blue fishes all around. And I was so proud of my little dress that I went to the street. I went outside of my house. I crossed the street and I was walking like this. Look at my pretty dress. Look at my pretty dress. And all these cars were their horns were going crazy, and get out of the street. My aunt almost passed out. And I remember that I could have been run over many times over, but something miraculously, the cars, they all stopped. And even an older gentleman came out, and I remember, I will never forget, he had a truck that had big giant bags. You know when you see them that have big onions? Well, these were artichokes, and I'm not kidding you. They were like this. Well, I was little, so maybe they looked big because I was a little girl, but they were huge. I could see these huge artichokes, hundreds and hundreds of bags of artichokes. So this elderly gentleman came down and he took me by the hand and helped me to cross the street back to my aunt. That was one of the times. Then there was an earthquake back in the 70s before we came to the States. And my mother and my sister and I, we were in the mountain and we had to go to Santiago. So the bus, it went up the mountain. So we were up in the mountain. It was driving up in the mountain when the earthquake hit. So when we were getting down to the valley, the lights were all off and it was really dark. And when we came to one of the stations, people were crying and some people were screaming, and they were saying, "There's an earthquake! There was an earthquake! There was an earthquake!" And then the people in the bus lost it. Many started, "Oh, my mom! Oh, my dad!" So it was really, I heard everything, but I didn't experience the big earthquake at that time. Although I have experienced earthquakes later on, but not like that big one. That was an 8 on a Richter scale. So I thought, okay, that was another time I wasn't supposed to be down in the valley with my mother and my sisters. I was supposed to be in the mountain with my mother. God made it that way. And then when I was in high school, I do believe I've told you, I was shot. I mean, not me, myself per se. Someone said duck in, and I didn't know what that meant. Duck in, of course, like it's obvious, duck in, like the duck goes. I know that now, but at the time I didn't. And someone pushed me from the back. There was no one behind me. I was eating an ice cream with my friend, and when someone pushed me, I landed on the ground, and I had the ice cream all over my face. And I noticed when I looked to the side, my little friend had blood coming out from her back. She didn't die, but she was seriously hurt. And then I was in such shock that I forgot my address where I lived. And so luckily one of my friends knew where I had moved to, so the policeman was taking the kids home, those that had experienced, this big shock. And he took us home. I have had 3 suicide attempts in my life when I went through this, through the dark night of the soul, when I went through this divorce years ago, many years ago. And each time, God saved me. I wasn't allowed to leave. The last time I was drowning, I walked myself into the lake, and I went under the water, and I started to, swallow water, and I was pulled out. So I wasn't supposed to been gone. That day, when I was taken to the hospital, I was placed in a specific area. I had a jacket because I was scratching myself. I was hurting myself. The nurse said to me, "There's a book you dropped, honey." She picked it up and put it up on my next to my bed, and it was not my book. This book was about love. I asked her, "Can you please leave it for me? Pick it up, thank you." And I said, "Can you remove this from me? I want to read my book." It wasn't my book. I know that God placed it there for me. This book was about love. It was about nothing that I was experiencing, what I thought was love. It was opposite all that. It was all about self-love, and what true unconditional love is. That was another time. And all the other, I'm not going to mention all the other attempts that I did, but they were all, I was saved in each one of them. Another time, I have not shared this with many people, but I have been spiritually attacked. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that. It could sound like, oh yeah, she's out of her mind, or she has, no. Things like that happen. they do occur. We live in a dual place here on the earth. This earth is dual. There's both light and darkness. There's night and day. Yeah. And when I felt hands, it wasn't a dream. I was in the bed and I was awoken and I felt hands strangling me on my neck here. I could not talk. In my mind, what I did, the best that I could do and mustered, was to say the Psalm 91 and call upon my Father and call upon Jesus Christ to help me and to save me. And finally, when my prayer was done, then this was removed from me. Another time, I almost died, and it happened about 2 years ago when I thought I was dying here. And I know also I was being attacked, and I cannot explain to you how, because because I live in two worlds. I live both in the spiritual world and I live in the material world. And this has happened to me more and more often since when I was a little girl. I played with another person that was me. So there were two of me. You know how you have kids that, they have the little imaginary friend? Okay, I was my own imaginary friend. There were two of me, okay? And all we talked about was the nature. We talked about God. We talked about angels. And I saw angels in my mind, in my dreams. And I've been very spiritual all of my life. I have walked away from God. I let go of his hand many, 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 many years ago. But not from my heart. Never from my heart. But at one time I was angry at him. And when that happened, I came to him and I told him, because I can talk to God like I'm talking to you right now. And God answers me. He gives me the answers. Sometimes not right at that moment, but through dreams, because I have prophetic dreams. And he guides me to the things that I need to discover, and shows me, and he's been showing me for years now. He's been guiding me towards the depth of me. And we all have a depth, like when you think of Alice in Wonderland, and when she goes down the rabbit hole, there is so much more. There's so much more behind the spectrum of what we think of what life is, of what we are. Yeah, that's a whole new a book about it that you can never stop talking about that. Another time, so many, I can't even count. I'm driving, I'm merging, and there's a truck in front of me with this humongous box, like it could look like a refrigerator. And then God tells me, move to the left, because that's gonna fall as soon as you merge. So I merge, move to and as soon as I'm moving, that box falls immediately. As soon as I move, the box falls, because the man, he went sped, and that was not tightened. So I moved my car to the right. I called 911 and explained where I was about at. I did that. So that's another time. Another time I'm driving in the freeway. I was going almost 80. And in an area where you could drive between 75 to 80. Okay, all of a sudden there's a truck in front of me, not right in front of me, but further, several hundred feet away from me. Nevertheless, I'm driving, and then I'm told, move to the right slowly and get to the slow lane, and stay there. The paint, okay, I say the paint. There were containers, those big containers where you, sometimes, you buy at Costco or Sam's Club too, or Walmart, where you save, like rice and things like that. Okay, they look like, they could have been like paint or maybe cement containers, something like that. So I moved, I started slowly moving, and then they start falling, one after the other, and then I could hear the car screeching, and they were going back, and so I slowly moved, and that was another place to merge out, so I merged away from there. And when I got to that point, I called 911 and I told them whereabouts that was happening. That was another moment. I have been in snowstorms that were so bad that there was no visibility. Father, I need help. Out of the blue, a truck comes right in front of me, and I can follow that truck slowly. And I'm not trying to, and the truck has bright lights and guides me. And what happens? I can barely see where I'm supposed to get off on that exit, and he gets off right on my exit. Another time, it was ice below zero, and it had rained, and it was like all I needed was just to go out there and ice skate. It was crazy. And I was with my friend, with one of the nurses I work with. We were actually coming back home, and it was about 1:30 in the morning. We had been we were coming back from work, and then the car started to do a donut like this. I started laughing because it made me giggle, and I started to laugh. And she was first scared out of her mind, but because she heard me laughing, because it was funny. Imagine going around like this, like you're a kid. So, and I'm grateful for being kind of like a kid, because you know what, I'll never be an adult. Hell no. That's not for me. I'd rather be like a kid. You could be 100 years old and be like a kid, and you'd be the happiest person in the world. Anyway, the car was going around like this, around and around, and now we were laughing. And when I started laughing, I got her to laugh, and she was more relaxed. And of course, she was trying to maintain, carefully maintaining the movement of the car, and all the other cars were able to stop for us, so we didn't get hurt. And guess what? The car stopped right by an embankment. We could have gone over the embankment, but we didn't, because we were being watched over. That was another time. The fog, you guys, was so, I opened up the window and I couldn't see my hand. That bad, and I'm not exaggerating. I took my hand, I was like, where did my hand go? My hand had disappeared. My hand had disappeared. That's how bad it was. It didn't matter how bright your lights were, you couldn't see a damn thing. And then it was in the middle of the day. I wouldn't know. It was probably around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Yeah, around 2 and 3 in the afternoon. But it was so foggy and so dark that it could have been like 9 o'clock at night. And so I just said, Father, we need to get home. I need to, please help me. Please help me. Please bring some light. I want to see your cute face. So when I start talking to him like that, then out of the blue, clouds opened up, and then sunlight, and I remember it, and it was like this, like a line of light right in front of me. And I noticed that I could see, when the light came, I could see people started to move behind me, because the car, he was guiding me. The light was right there. So I was able to see. You couldn't see where you were merging, where you were going. You just drove. And don't ask me how, miraculously, I got home. How? I was in God's hands. I don't have words to express my gratitude for my Father. How mindful He is of me. And not just me, you guys, because we're all children of God. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what university you went to. He doesn't care. All He cares is your heart and your love for Him. In a conversation I had with him one day, he wants to be famous, and he says, yeah, I should be famous like Michael Jackson, huh? He's more famous than I am. And I said, okay, I'll make sure, I'll do my best to make you famous. I am here in this little channel, and I don't want to offend anyone, and I'm here with my heart. My heart is open, and I may not know everything, because I don't, but the more I discover, the less I know, because you guys, consciousness, it expands as the most that you expand. And this is the thing, God wants us to be like him, like Christ. Have like the mind of Christ. And what is Christ? What is God? Love. Love. And forgiveness and love to ourselves and love to our neighbors and about focusing in our self-realization. Guess what? Yes, we need to focus on ourselves so that we can develop and bring out what's inside of us and bring it out and make the best out of this world for ourselves and for other people. Christ gave the best of him, and I want to emulate him. If there's anyone here in the world to emulate, it will be him. He's my example. And about, regardless of what people put him in this religion or that religion, whatever, that's you guys. He is my teacher. He is my Lord. He is my best friend. And yes, he brought all these things for me and for you, and I can do whatever I want with that, right? I can decide to follow him or not to follow him or not believe in him. I do believe in him, but guess what? I believe one thing very, very strongly. I am responsible for my actions, for my thoughts, my actions, and how I live my life. If I hurt other people, I need to be accountable. If I do anything that goes against the laws of the universe, the laws of God, you treat others the way you want to be treated. You do. How do you want to be treated? Do you want people to be kind to you? Then you be kind to them. Fill your cup and share what you have. And I'm sharing my truth, not other people's truth. I'm sharing my truth and what I understand to be truth for me without hurting anyone. And we all have opinions, and that's a beautiful thing that we can share our opinions together with each other. That's a wonderful thing. Sometimes we find new insights about things, and oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's cool. With respect, you know. But at the end of the day, I believe that we need to be accountable. Be accountable for our thoughts, for our actions. And life is not long, you guys. Life, we're not going to be here for hundreds and hundreds of years. So the time that we have here, use it to the best of our ability and of our knowledge so that we can make the best garden. Like my dream is of creating I say the new earth, create a new garden, remove all the yucky weeds, bring some fresh soil, fresh ideas, fresh energies. Ooh, I can't stand it when I think of spring and I think of garden. My hands, I can just feel the dirt on the soil on my hands. And I love to plant. I love to watch things grow. And I love to eat the things that I grow. There's nothing, you guys, like a fresh tomato that's even a little bit warm. And even without salt, just, my mouth waters. You probably think I'm crazy, but gardening for me, it's the pleasure of life, you know? Like you give birth to something. We give birth. You guys, Mother Earth teaches us we give birth. We women, we give birth to babies. We carry babies in here. Mother Earth carries us. Mother Earth carries the seeds that we plant. So all the seeds are in my mind. All the seeds are in your mind. Make them beautiful seeds so that you can plant and create the most beautiful mind. Do you know how it would be to sit down and speak with people that think alike, that think life is beautiful? We can grow things. We can grow thoughts. Can you imagine? Let's say I have apples and you have mangoes. Let's trade. I'll give you some of mine and you give me some of yours. Ideas. Just create new things to better the earth, to help people, and build children, help them, and get kids to play more with dirt and sticks like I used to when I was little, and read fairy tales. Albert Einstein said, if you want your kids to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. And if you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. And you know what I do? I've invented fairy tales. I've invented stories because I have dreams, like I've told you before. I dream, my favorite, I dream with Chi. Chi is this dragon that comes to me in dreams, and he's gorgeous. He's my pet in the spiritual realms. And so my grandkids, they love when I read them, when I tell them, because I write them down, and then I have tons of stories about Chi. We immerse ourselves, for example, let's say in this stone here, or in this one here. And I've told them in this a specific one, then we go inside the rock. Can you imagine going inside a rock? And you think, she's completely nuts. No. With your mind, you can enter anything, anywhere. I've had one of my kids see me. Yeah. Yep. There's no limitations. We're multidimensional beings. We are God's an embryo. Christ taught these things that he was not able to complete, telling us all. And he taught in parables that you have to read between the lines. That's the language. It's kind of like you have to, what does that mean? What does that mean? Life is beautiful, you guys. God is beautiful. I'm grateful for my life. Even though I don't have a car right now, the car is up here somewhere. I know I'm going to get a car. Don't ask me from where. I'll get a car sometime. I am grateful for my life. I'm grateful that I can say I've been given an extra day to live. I am grateful that I can sit here and I can talk to you guys and share these things that have happened to me. And I'm no different than you are. I'm not more special, or I'm not better than anyone. I have a lot of faults. No one's perfect. And Christ, we see him as perfect, but there's not really a lot of information about really what Christ was like. I believe he was a perfect being from the things that we have read and the things that I've experienced, but he was a human being too, but he was enlightened, and he knew who he was. He knew he was the Son of God. He knew he was like God. I don't know anybody out there right now. There are a couple of gurus I think I've heard about in India that can do like miraculous things because they know who they are. But this is regardless of religion, because we're spiritual beings. Before we get here, let me tell you, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. Okay, and then we need to find, and we need to awaken. We are in a matrix, whether people like it or not. This is a matrix. And when you get to discover what even a matrix is, start looking. It's discover. Go within. Go within. The kingdom of God is within you, within me. And I can't tell you. You have to discover it yourself. I'm discovering mine. You have your responsibility to do whatever you want to with your mind and with your life and with your thoughts and what you learn. You can do whatever you want to. That's why this is a life that you have chosen to be in here, because you asked to be here. All of us have asked to be here. Regardless of the conditions, we're all here in this melting pot of people. To learn what? To learn about love, unconditional love, what it means, about forgiveness. First, forgive yourself and forgive all others. No judgment. And give the best of yourselves. When you make a promise, when you give your word is golden. But you make it that way. Like if I tell you I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Come hell or high water, I'm going to do it. And seize the day. Seize your days. We don't know how many days we have upon this beautiful earth. We don't know. Take advantage of what you have. And the magic of this life is gratitude. To be grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful for everything you enjoy. Your family, your work. Love what you do. And if you don't love it, change. It doesn't cost anything to change. It's just the renewal of your mind. Like, I don't want those pair of pants. I don't like them anymore. So change it. I want my hair cut. Okay, cut your hair. You can do anything. You want to study something new? Study it. I have a list, you guys, you have no idea. I want to learn about the human body, about the cells. I've been reading and reading, but it's like many things don't make sense to me. Okay, so I have to read and reread them. I want to learn about all of the cultures of the world. I want to learn all of the languages of the world. I know this sounds ridiculous and crazy, but I'm studying languages. I love to study languages. I speak several languages, and languages come easy to me. And I love the sounds. I love to hear French. I find it so sensual, also like Portuguese. Spanish is also very beautiful. I love languages that have lots of verbs and adjectives because they're words that describe things, you know. And some of the languages are harsh. And I don't want to say anything because I have family and people that speak different languages that I don't really care for. But I have to tell you, I think it's lovely that we all speak different languages. But I think the most beautiful language is the language of love. You just look at a person. You don't even have to say hi. I sometimes just smile at someone, and when I look at their eyes, some people have beautiful eyes. Have you ever noticed that? People are beautiful. People are really beautiful. Anyway, I know I tend to talk too much, but I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I hope to see you sometime a little bit later during this, at the end of this week. I have lots of plans. Spring is here, and I am excited for the future and for the things that are about to come. And I bless you all. Have a beautiful day and enjoy your life, and just love yourselves, okay? And be grateful for God, whoever you deem God to be. And Christ, he's my homeboy. He's just cool. And everybody else that emulates him, all those beautiful people, those ancient writers and poets that spoke about God, like Rumi. Oh, Rumi, the poem of the atoms. I have to read you that another time when I'm here, but that's one of my favorite, especially with the beautiful music behind the background. Oh, I love poetry. Anyway, I know I talk too much, but I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the comments. I love you all, and I will be more detailed about that last comment that was sent to me. I thank you for taking the time to write it, and I bless you all. Mwah. I love you. Take care.